In the fourth round of the 2020 NFL Draft, with the 122nd overall pick, the Colts drafted quarterback Jacob Eason out of the University of Washington. This, to me, is a perfect location for Jacob Eason to go to. I love this move. Now, here's why I love it. The Colts already have a quarterback, Phillip Rivers, who played for the Chargers for years. In fact, they not only have Phillip Rivers, they have two dudes ahead of Jacob Eason who have been in the NFL for a while. They have Phillip Rivers, who is the starter, and the number two quarterback, the very clear backup quarterback in Indianapolis, is Jacoby Brissett. Now, what Jacob Eason can do behind these two quarterbacks is come in, sit, and learn how to be an NFL quarterback. But it's not just that. The Colts also have head coach Frank Reich, who was a NFL quarterback for years. So they have a lot of people in that building who know what it takes to be an NFL quarterback, who can really help teach Jacob Eason the ropes if he's open to it. If Jacob Eason sits in there and asks a bunch of questions and soaks it all up like a sponge. Now, it's kind of crazy to me because Jacob Eason's film, in my opinion, was slightly better than Justin Herbert's, and Justin Herbert went number 6 overall. Now, they were very similar. They were both had a lot of mistakes, and neither Justin Herbert or Jacob Eason, to me, had the film of what would be an NFL starter right now. But man, Jacob Eason and Herbert were neck and neck, and when it came down to decision-making and arm strength and accuracy, Jacob Eason was actually a little bit better and had the ability to throw a touch a lot better than Justin Herbert did. And I just go back to, it's crazy to me that number 6 overall, Justin Herbert went to the Chargers, and Jacob Eason fell all the way down to the 4th round. I think Jacob Eason was a little bit better than a 4th-round quarterback. I think Justin Herbert was a lot lower, should have been drafted lower than the 6th overall pick. But the dude, to me, is super, super talented. But here is the number one issue that Jacob Eason had in college. I've been saying this for months and months. His work ethic was a concern. Jacob Eason transferred from Georgia to Washington, and as a result, because of NCAA rules, he had to sit out for a year, meaning that all Jacob Eason could do was practice. He could not play in games for that year he had off. Now, the University of Washington staff was really, really frustrated that he did not master their offense in that year off. He is a super, super physically talented quarterback, but he had a hard time beating out a guy named Jake Haener in their fall camp. Jake Haener, who's very physically average, but was making better decisions down the stretch because he just mastered the offense, and Jacob Eason hadn't. Now, in the end, Jacob Eason became the starter at UW. They went with him because he had just more potential as a quarterback. But it was not because of Eason's decision-making. Now, people I know in the UW building were telling me for months and months, since about September, going, man, we are frustrated with this guy's work ethic. And I want to point out that if people in the Washington building were willing to tell me that, just imagine what they told NFL scouts and people in the NFL. They probably were ringing the bell. Hey, Jacob Eason has work ethic concerns. We are concerned about what he does. Now, I want to be very, very clear. I do not like saying any of this stuff. I am rooting for Jacob Eason. He's from my area in the Northwest. We actually trained together a little bit in high school. We shared a field a couple times. And I am not alone here, though, in my concerns, sharing my concerns about his work ethic. Here is what ESPN NFL insider Chris Mortensen said. He said, I quote, "As teams peeled back the onion on Jacob Eason, they found evaluations and information that his work ethic is an issue. Accountability is an issue." Now, I believe Jacob Eason has an incredible opportunity here to change his story and change the story people tell about him. 2 years from now, what will people in the Colts building say about Jacob Eason? Because 2 years from now, Jacob Eason can control the narrative about him. Will people be able to say he works incredibly hard? He is hungry. People like him, and it's obvious he wants to be an NFL starting quarterback. If Jacob Eason goes into that building and just works his butt off and proves everybody, hey, I can have a great work ethic, I really want it, he can change the narrative about him. And when the Colts drafted him, he posted on social media, let's get to work, let's build something. I really liked what he said on Instagram. Now, the fact that the Colts have Phillip Rivers as their quarterback right now might really, really help Jacob Eason. Because Phillip Rivers has a legendary work ethic. There's a quote in Hoosiers, I can't remember exactly, I'm going to paraphrase it, but the head coach is talking to one of his players, and he's talking about a guy, the player is guarding the other team's best player. And the coach says, I want you to get so close to him, you can tell me what flavor gum he's chewing. I want Jacob Eason to be so close to Phillip Rivers, he knows his favorite type of gum. I want him to do everything he does, follow him everywhere. If Phillip Rivers gets to the facility at 5 in the morning, Jacob Eason better have breakfast ready for Phillip when he gets there. In the parking lot, hey man, I'm here right before you. Here's your breakfast. If Phillip Rivers is staying at the facility till 10 p.m. watching film, Jacob Eason better be next to him taking notes and asking questions. Not annoyingly, but be a sponge, man. Jacob Eason has an opportunity here to take up so much information. He can copy Phillip Rivers' habits. He can learn from Jacoby Brissett. He can ask Frank Reich questions. Jacob Eason needs to treat Phillip Rivers like he's a professor and just learn as much information as he possibly can. And Jacoby Brissett, to me, is an integral part of this whole operation because, Phillip Rivers has never been hurt. He's, never missed a start. In, I think, 16 years in a row, he's been a starting quarterback, never missed a game. But let's say that there's a possibility Phillip Rivers got hurt next year as a Colts quarterback. Then guess who would come off the bench? Not Jacob Eason. Jacob Eason would still sit. Jacoby Brissett is number 2, the next man up. Jacob Eason's number 3. So there's no way that Jacob Eason's going to get forced into action too early or too quickly. And then again, having a former NFL quarterback, Frank Reich, as your head coach is going to help too. I am telling you, Jacob Eason is in a perfect situation to develop and learn how to be an NFL quarterback with the Colts. And in the long run, Jacob Eason could become the Colts franchise quarterback. In case you don't know, Strong Opinion Sports is not just a YouTube channel. It is also a full audio podcast. You can find it on Spotify, on iTunes, on Google Play, pretty much everywhere you find podcasts. And if you like podcasts, please do me a huge favor and give it a listen.